Okay, this is going to be another screencast about styling Devise forms with Tailwind. Now you have to see the previous screencast I did on this, but I'm styling these Devise forms, and I almost always use simple form too. So I want to take a look at simple form. Simple form really is all about styling and making a nice wrapper on your Rails forms. It's it's like we don't want to have a lot of gems. I like to really try to scrutinize gems, but this is one that stood the test of time. It also seems like the Rails form, native form helper hasn't changed much, the API. So like it hasn't done. When I've upgraded to different Rails versions, like it hasn't been really a big issue too. So I recommend it. And then look what it's going to do for some of our code. So we have, again, you have to watch the previous screencast, but here's the form we're dealing with. And this is the, so you first, in your gem file, you have to put simple form. Okay, you bundle, you run a generator, and it will make a, all right, okay. I'm in config initializers folder, and it makes this when you run the generator. Okay, I don't really mess with this. What I did here was I made another initializer called simple form Tailwind. Okay, and it has this same sort of simple form setup config. As you recall in the previous episode, I made a Tailwind helper in app helpers that is going to have some of this verbose Tailwind class stuff, like TW label. Okay, just to go over that again. Where is it? Okay, so you can see I have a bazillion files open. So this is the one I just made, Devise helper. Let's go to Tailwind. Okay, so in Tailwind helper, I just have these Tailwind classes here, and you can see that I'm using it here. Okay, so what is this stuff? What you can do with simple form is you can make these wrappers around your forms and your labels and other stuff too. So let's just jump back over to the form itself. So this is in Devise, this is registrations new. And what I have commented out was what I had on the last episode. So it has a div over the label and the form field. I had to make this weird helper here called TW form field wrap. That doesn't look good, does it? And most of these other fields have an MT of 6 on them, which is margin top 6. So that'd be nice too if I could wrap that up. This one doesn't, but it should, and the other ones do. So let's go back to the wrapper here. So what happens is here, I'm making a wrapper called vertical form. And what I do is, so instead of using form 4, use simple form 4. And all I did was add the wrapper, vertical form, over here on the arguments here. Now, also we're using a nested field, and for those you need to do simple fields for. Okay. And one nice thing too I like about simple form is everything is really is dot input. Like that's the DSL here. So instead of doing, field dot email fields, or if it's a text field, simple form is smart enough to recognize that it's an email. Sometimes you can just do like as email if it's like you're calling it different, like it can't be discerned from the field, the column, the attribute itself. inactive record. So that's real nice too. But you can see that what we're doing is I've mimicked all of this stuff just in that wrapper over here. And what happens here is this. Now, we want everything wrapped in an MT6 div. Okay, so that's this here. So both the label and the form we want wrapped like that. So I did that. Boom, right there. Now the label goes inside of that MT6 div. Okay, so it just goes like that in there. Now this is the one that gets wrapped with another div that in the Tailwind helper is this guy here. Okay, so each actual form field gets wrapped with this. So now let's go back here. So that's what we did here. So but all the input, the error, I'm not going to go into error and hint right now, and I'm not changing these even right now. We're just going to focus on this, the input. And there you can see I have the class TW field, which I didn't explain this, but I'm requiring the Tailwind helper and then just including it inside of here. So then I can use these methods, all right? So TW field is this one here. All right, this one's got a lot of stuff. All right, and it comes out just the way it looked previously. So I only did these two right now, but they look just the same. It adds this little required thing. I can get rid of that. I kind of like those though too, so I don't know if I'll get rid of it yet. But simple form will add that by default unless you take that away. That's what some of this stuff is about. Well, I won't go into any of those right now. You can read the documentation. But yeah, there we go. And then let's look at the markup again. You know, that's really nice. So I have all these commented out, but what it's going to look like in the end is I mean, look at that difference there. So, and these aren't going to change that. Now you lose flexibility, right? Because in the other, if you keep them just like as a helper, well, I can pump the color in here and things like that. So you have more flexibility with doing it this method, but really you're not going to be doing a lot of changes to main structural things like a vertical form. Like a lot of vertical forms are just going to be just like I'm doing right here. So this very simple setup is really going to scale across there. And you can add to your styles too. So by using input HTML in simple form, you can add to your styles too. So you would get some flexibility, but you won't be able to change things like color easily. Anyway, okay, that's the one thing I wanted to add there. Like, you know, probably use simple form. It's probably going to keep our forms, you know, like reusing Tailwind stuff the best and keep our markup, you know, nice and clean. So let me save that. Okay, and another thing I did not add in the video was if you forgot your password. Okay, and that led to a little bit of refactoring. So you forgot your password, looks like this, but it's, you know, we didn't need like the Intuit sign-on. We don't need these links either. So it was quite of a different form. And I did some refactoring. Let's just take a look at that. So here's the password's new form. And we're going to use the form shell. Nothing's changed there. But let's just take a look at the form shell and what some things I did there. One thing I wanted to do was this was getting, like before I just had a conditional for registration, sign up, and sign in, log in. But now we're adding this password new. So what I did was I just made a helper, an app helpers, and this is Devise helper. Yeah, when you're doing helpers too, you always want to add a prefix because these go into the global namespace for your views. So, so what I did with Devise section header was I have also a method controller name in another helper. Where is that? Is it my application helper? Page controller class. Oh, no, controller name just comes from Rails. Yeah. Yeah, controller name, I believe, just comes from Rails, but maybe I have it buried somewhere. I don't know. But you can, I'm just using a case statement here, and this changes the title of each view. So this forget your password is right here. If you go to the other ones, oh, drat. I got to put one here. Is that not working? Oh, sign up for a new account, but login's not working though. Okay, because would it be sessions? There we go. Okay, so that is that. Then I just added this Devise standard controllers. Like these guys look kind of the same, meaning you at least want these Devise links, and I want this sign in with Intuit on both of those views. So I'm just calling it a standard controller. And I was just able to clean up the form shell like this. So I added this. I also put, I don't like doing error messages like the standard Rails way, like up here. Okay. You know, like you put it in your layout and it shows like up here somewhere. I like to be more in line. So I don't do that in my app layouts. And you really need two style. This is the normal flash messages thingy. And this is the Devise error messages. And these are all styled with Tailwind, okay? Just a basic error alert. This is actually just taken from Tailwind CSS components. So, did I add that? Yeah, I just added these two because sometimes when I believe when you're doing the login, you need regular flash messages. I also just, for the shared links, they only show now using that Devise standard controllers, which again, I made in the Devise helper here. And then also the Intuit sign in, that's now been put into its own partial here. So we're just cleaning things up more, and that does not show again when we forgot our password. Okay, so that we don't need to show it there. And in the form shell now, it's nice. Form shell is a lot cleaner now. Okay, that's an update on using Tailwind this Tailwind UI rather, and Devise views. Thank you for watching.